Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome to another session of In Conversation with. I'm Jerry Andrews, the Body Mind Coach, and today I'm really pleased to be speaking to Sapna Gadaria. Is that the right pronunciation, Sapna?
And Jerry, not everyone gets it right. So
So, welcome, Sapna. It's good to have the chance to speak to you. And we met on one of Erica Marmy's business breakfast meetings, isn't it? And we've been to a few of those since, which have been really useful. But yeah, just to tell us a little bit more about, who you are, what you do, and where you're based.
yeah, great. Thanks, Jerry. I'm in private practice. I've had a range of experience and sort of been in private practice for about 15 years, but in between that sort of worked for the NHS and worked in schools as a play therapist and a school therapist. I've been in services as well. In just a range of places as well. So for young people and then within schools as well. And then I went fully self-employed actually in January. And I do play therapy, counselling, and some supervision, and actually doing some tutoring as well for Yorkshire Counselling and Training. So quite a lot
Okay,
of things.
quite a range indeed. Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your play therapy. I was interested in that.
Yeah, so I worked for a place to be quite a number of years ago, actually about 16 years ago. So I didn't necessarily consider myself a play therapist, and then did some volunteering with them as a counsellor for a few years, and then got
Mm.
approached to be a school project manager. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and then did my training with them, and then
Right.
really so children as young as four that I
Wow.
range of different things. Yeah, really enjoy that part of my job as well.
That must be fascinating, right? I know of a couple of other people who've used drama therapy and all of that as part of their work with adopted children and their families. And my niece is also a school counselor as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, slightly different the context, I guess. But yeah, how did you get into that?
to the play therapy.
Mm,
So yeah, like I said, I worked at Place to Be, so
mm,
I'm just interested in doing sort of some work with children. I've always like been interested. So everyone thought I should have been a primary school teacher, really, because I do enjoy being with children and things. And so I was like, well, actually, just try a placement with children and see how that goes. And then I did that in Manchester actually for a while. And then when I moved to Leeds, I carried on volunteering and then got approached to be a school project manager within a school in South Leeds. And then from there, I did that for a good few years and really enjoyed it. And then I've worked in schools since then. Uh,
mm.
Interesting. I think now even more so from a counselling, we do, even with adults, I suppose we talk a lot about sort of their childhood and how much that impacts them as
Yeah,
adults.
yeah. I
And I actually use some of the play therapy within.
was going to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. So you're working more so now as a counselor specifically, would you say?
But I think it's a real mix actually since I've been in private. When I've done private practice alongside my other jobs, I've just
Mm.
seen adults. But actually, since going fully self-employed, it's a real mix now of seeing children and adults and supervision. So really varied. So I suppose a third of it with each of those and stuff.
Right,
Really.
right. What would you say are the main sort of issues that you see, particularly maybe with children?
Yeah, I think it ranges really. I think, I mean, predominantly at the moment, a lot of it's around anxiety, just with typical with exams and things, really.
Right.
And so even children that are moving from primary to secondary, but I think a lot of it is even some of it diagnosed and undiagnosed neurodivergency as well. Uh,
Mm.
Being in mainstream schools, which we particularly find difficult,
Mm.
how to manage that really. I suppose like sort of fit in a world that is neurotypical and then struggling with those sides of things as well. But a lot of it's particularly around like anxiety and things, really, yeah, self harm, suicidal isolation, and stuff like that. So that's been an ongoing thing. But actually, I didn't think about this actually recently, the last couple of years, how much it's increased just even with social media and
Mm.
the pressures that young people face, and things as well. So it really has changed from the time that I qualified
Right.
to I see.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think, as you say, social media has a lot to account for, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And what do you think of this whole, whether it's a trend or whatever, but I mean, we certainly seem to be hearing a lot more of things like, ADHD and all of those other issues, mental health issues that children particularly seem to be, coming up with.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've massively seen, like I say, a shift in that in the last few years as well. And I think I'm a bit on both really around in terms of, well, actually, are we sort of recognizing it more and being more aware of it? So we are seeing the diagnosis, which definitely is a part of it. But I think some of that stuff can be really blurred in terms of how young people are facing anxiety. And does
Mm.
that sort of, sometimes transpire from them having sort of more autistic traits than really just because that tends to be how they sort of manifest it and things as well. So I think it's
Mm.
contrast. And like I say, I think a lot of it sometimes is actually undiagnosed and then they are struggling to like fit in school and things like that as well. And then the knock on effect of that results in them having other sort of uh, symptoms of that as well. So I think it can be, I
Mm.
don't think there's a definite answer to that by any means.
It's tricky, isn't it? It's really sort of tricky because sometimes you sort of hear people talking and it sort of can seem in the sort of media as well to be, oh, this is just another trend that people are jumping on another bandwagon in a sense for another diagnosis.
Yeah.
Do you see that as much at all?
I don't know if it's yeah. I see that happening. Yeah, quite a lot where people think, well, actually, it's a trend or that everyone's got ADHD, everyone's got autism, so
Mm.
that side of things. But I think we've got to be really mindful, really, about dismissing real
Mm.
real needs there and real neurodiversity as well. So I think there definitely is a spike in that. And I mean, I did some really interesting training a couple of weeks ago, and that was talking about the environmental factors that have probably
Okay.
um, contributed to an increase in people having autism and ADHD. And I thought that was quite interesting, actually, just in terms of people's diet and
Mm.
things as well and stuff as well. So, what comes first, nurture, nature? I'm not particularly sure.
Mm.
Um, and I suppose, and I see things that help young people based on that as well. I suppose even to talk about the social media thing around a lot of the neurodivergent, particularly kids that have got autism, using sort of Minecraft or Fortnite as a way
Mm.
to regulate
Mm.
it and things really, and just that's the sort of the way their brain is programmed would be more likely to use things like that. So taking that away, is that the ideal situation? Not necessarily, but I suppose within that, it's just keeping young people safe, isn't it? And regulating
Mm.
that and making sure that other things don't come as a result of that as well. So yeah,
Mm. It can be a double-edged sword, I guess, then in that sense, as you say. And yeah, I hadn't thought about that angle before, but as you're saying, maybe some kids with autism and those sorts of issues do benefit from some of the tools, I guess, that are available online. But if now, as the government have announced today, they're wanting to cut under 16s or access to social media and so on. Yeah, you wonder what type of effects that might have, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Interesting. I hadn't thought about your angle though that you mentioned there. Which is interesting. Hmm. Okay. So, thinking about your background, I was reading that you are also a solution-focused practitioner.
yeah. I think that particularly came from my work in the NHS. So yeah,
Ah.
weight management program for in Birmingham for some time, and then when I moved to Leeds, we
Mm.
worked really well actually about having some solution focused tools, and actually I do use it. I suppose I trained as a person centered counsellor. My idea of that has changed as I've gone on in my experience, and I think the basis of that really is just what works in the interest of my client. And so if I've got some solution focused tools that are actually going to help, that
Mm.
I will use it. So just like you have like smart goals, which I think actually in general life are quite useful, Joey. That it's being quite specific about what we want to do sometimes.
Mm.
So yeah, I think there's a place for it. I don't think it's the
Mm.
answer.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
a definite place for it in something that we can offer our clients.
Mm. I find that quite useful, really, as an approach in lots of different ways sometimes, almost as a way of thinking as much as a particular tool or technique, in the sense that some of the work that I see with the body mind coaching clients that I have, a lot of people who I suppose have been in therapy or have used therapy can seemingly get quite focused on the problem that is revealed and can get sort of almost stuck in trying to solve the problem and resolve all of that stuff before they can start to even think about, what the future might hold and how they might want to be. And I think sadly that can sort of lock people just in that over-analyzing cycle sometimes if you're not careful, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you do need someone to say, be specific about wanting to change that particular thing, and stuff
Mm,
things for people, like you say. Yeah,
mm. So yeah, I find sometimes that idea of, having an understanding, I suppose, or rather a way of seeing things from the point of view of holding out hope, I guess, for people. That fact that actually change is possible, and that looking for the positives. I know that might sound a little bit trite, but in terms of I suppose looking at what's strong rather than what's wrong
yeah,
is the way that I might frame that, really.
great way to frame it.
Hmm. Whereas I think sadly, so often we can get locked up in just looking at problem solving, isn't it? Trying to treat the symptoms of things and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, isn't it? Because if there's a bit
Mm,
happening, even you were saying about fixating on a problem, like where's that come from, what that's about, where's that mindset and things as well. And even like some of it, my clients, is sometimes it's self-sabotaging, like actually they are scared of change and actually they're familiar with
mm,
not like it, they're familiar with what they know. So
yes.
keep on doing it. So it is sometimes going a bit deeper with that about why the behaviors are the way they are.
Mm,
But I think even the young people I see sometimes, Jerry, that I might be the first person they've had that conversation with,
mm,
or actually there is hope. There is some slight changes we can make and things, and sometimes that's just enough for people to want to make those changes as well.
definitely, definitely. I think it's a huge area, isn't it, of where rather than just getting sort of symptom focused or yeah, just trying to deal and resolve the problem, isn't it? Being able to help people in a broader way is very, very profound and necessary, I think, these days, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mm. I was interested also in what you were saying about well, I know what some of the work that you've been doing has been around sort of bullying and those sorts of issues. Have those really stemmed from a lot of the work that you see in schools?
Yeah, I think high school in particular is a real it's a minefield, isn't it? And either sort of a bit of
Mm.
as well. And like I say, I suppose like thinking about when I was younger, I joke with my young people all this time ago, when time the way you might have had bullying at my time was like a couple of crosswords, or there might have been a fight at the extreme after school. But now, because of the access to so many things, it's non-stop, isn't it? 24/7
Mm,
with social media and things like that as well. And I think it's just a height another level, really, isn't it, of that
mm,
really as well. And actually, even like social economic stuff with families and things as well, like cost of crisis and things as well. Children not being able to afford things or being in really deprived areas where home life
yeah.
is great as well. I think there's just so much more going on as well. So I think that's really particularly difficult. And like I say, with the bullying as well, it's just really detrimental and really worrying,
Mm,
and the levels it goes to now. So supporting the young people with that, and I suppose even like say normalizing some of that stuff, like actually even as adults we experience it sometimes,
yeah,
don't we? Environments
absolutely.
and things really. And I think sometimes being quite honest with young people and quite open with them is really great, and things, and lets them see that actually it's not, you're not all alone in that. It's, like I say, normalizing it, which doesn't make it okay, but actually even pulling out that it doesn't make it okay as well. I suppose some of the young men that I see are
Right.
sort of up really, or whatever, they just banter and things like that. Well, actually, whatever that might be, but if it's having an effect on that person, that's what the problem is, isn't it? That's what
Mm,
things really in address.
mm, mm. Well, that's interesting. So do you get in some ways, I know obviously you're not just working with schools, but obviously a lot of your focus has been with young people in the past as well. But would you say some of the work that you're doing importantly is as much with the kids who might actually be the bullies as much as the ones who are being bullied as well?
Yeah, a real contrast really. So I've worked with a couple of kids that, I worked in a really great project actually in Manchester, which was about young people being excluded, verge of being excluded off mainstream school or been excluded, and they were generally the perpetrators of those behaviours.
Mm,
But that program was amazing actually, because it was about healthy relationships and how we behave, but even just like their upbringings and all those things as well. And the counselling was alongside that, so addressing sort of the emotional issues that they had as well. And I think sometimes it's quite easy to just write off someone as a bully, and they've done the wrong
mm,
thing. But I think there's generally something else going on, Jerry. And I think
mm,
an open mind and and being, open to what they've gone through as well, and
mm,
to,
mm.
to deal with that.
You absolutely do see that, don't you? Where sadly, often the kids are who are in danger of being excluded and so on, who are leisurely the perpetrators, and to be fair, they are.
Yeah, yeah,
But the reasons for that are often, yeah, in their family backgrounds and the lifestyle and everything else, isn't it? Which is very, very traumatic in
yeah.
most cases.
Yeah, with this project, they were tallied up with a toddler with a nursery. So they were a key worker for this toddler that they looked after all this way through this program. And that,
Mm.
just for them to see it through a little bit, be responsible for someone, be caring for someone, see themselves in that little person as well.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So these kids with themselves were paired up with toddlers.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
wow.
they had the responsibility of the same toddler for the few weeks. And that's probably one of my favourite projects I've ever done actually, because I saw
Mm.
all that developmental stuff. I saw the bonds that they had and the progress they made and the vulnerability they had. They had counselling with me, and that was
Mm.
great just to for them to be really open about
Okay.
going through and how they who they were.
That's amazing. You just wish, isn't it, sometimes that a lot of our sort of established institutions, and I'm sure there's a lot of this work going on. My daughter, for example, is a social worker in Bradford now, but she deals with a lot of kids who are in danger of being exploited. So she sees the consequences of a lot of this, I guess. But yeah, I just think maybe if some of the work that could be done could be addressed perhaps either at an earlier stage or include support like yourself, for example, somewhere down the line. You wonder, how much preventative stuff could actually be put in there, and that's
Yeah,
the shame of it all.
yeah. I think I always remember the first child I worked with, and he was part of a gang. He was about 6 years old, so that changed the course of his life. Like just having some intervention with myself, and getting out of that and things really. And I think now he must be about 30 years old.
Oh,
And I don't know, wonder where, you just mind every now and again, just like, I wonder where he is and what he's doing. But I worked with them for a while, and kept in touch with the school and things. And he just changed direction. His whole life
wow.
changed direction and things really. So that was really great to
It's
see.
amazing, isn't it, really, when you see how much of an impact this work, as a short intervention sometimes, can change another human being's life entirely.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. And the domino effect, I think, well, actually, they pass that on, don't they? I think that
mm,
my children really, I think the tools I've given them, and hopefully they learn, and hopefully they share that with their children. And you're sort of talking about, generational trauma, aren't you? And sort of dealing with that,
indeed.
supporting and that domino effect, which is really amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just makes me think really how, and you mentioned there, it's a lot of it's about relationships, isn't it, in terms of, what impact we're having. And it's interesting talking to Claire Walters the other day about something similar. I'm just saying how really I think a lot of what we're all doing in our different ways, our different sort of expertise and areas of work, but essentially we're sort of working on the same things, aren't we, really?
Yeah, I think in different ways, but we all are about those relationships, aren't we? And those connections
Mm.
with people.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Sapna, I could talk a long time with you about all these issues. It's fascinating, really, and this is really the point of this um, series that I sort of started to do because I wanted to try and yeah, capture, I suppose, some of the commonality between all of our different sort of therapies, coaching modalities, whatever it is that we all do. And yeah, I was interested really to try and help find ways of those identifying those connections. So having these conversations is a good way to do that, I thought.
Yeah, it's brilliant
Um,
to do it, Joey. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure. Really good to speak. No doubt we'll see you soon at another breakfast meeting, hopefully. When you've got the time, you seem to be very busy these days.
I know, but I was also like, I need to book on the next one. So thank you for the reminder, Joey. And I will.
We'll see you soon there. But before we go, do you want to just let us know, where you're based, how people can contact you, and so on?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Joey. So I'm based in a mixture of things actually. So I do some sessions at the old surgery in Meanwood. I do
Uh-huh.
as well. So real mix and online as well. So I've got a website. So Sapna Gadaria counselling.co.uk is the best way to find me generally. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So that's another way to connect with me and things as well. So yeah.
Great. Okay. Lovely. Lovely to talk to you, Sapna, and we will catch up soon.
Yeah,
And
thanks, Joey. Take care.
thanks again. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon in another episode. Take care. Bye bye.